It's been a wild summer for Summit School District. Contractors are wrapping up with $70 million worth of upgrades at all 9 schools, and this year is the inaugural class for Snowy Peaks Middle School, a new branch of the alternative high school housed at Summit Middle School in Frisco. Not everything is ready yet. A new indoor turf field at Summit High will not open until September, and the brand new cafeteria at Dillon Valley Elementary is a few weeks behind schedule. But Summit School's superintendent Kerri Buehler says momentary hassles are well worth the long-term benefits. The district has grown by 500 students since 2008, and she says these projects create enough space for 10 to 15 years worth of growth while bringing local schools into the future of learning with hands-on media centers and interactive classrooms. Krystal 93 sat down with Buehler and Kara Drake, District Director of Business Services, for a preview of everything new waiting to greet students this fall. Phil Lindeman, Krystal 93 News Director, in the studio today with Kerri Buehler. She's Superintendent for Summit Schools, and Kara Drake. She's Director of Business Services. Kerri and Kara, thanks for coming in to join me today.
Thanks so much for having us.
Of course, and school is right around the corner. Hard to believe already, right? When do students go back?
Our students do come back this week. So our middle school and high school students start Wednesday, and our elementary, minus our kindergartners and our preschoolers, come back on Thursday.
True. And when does preschool and kindergarten get started?
They start a week later, which is a week from Thursday.
Okay, great. But still, school year is already here. Hard to believe the summer went so fast. Lots of work being done, though, at school buildings during the summer. And that's what we're talking about today is construction and capital projects. So where was construction being done? Every single school had some kind of project happening this summer?
You know, every school has been touched, whether it was last summer or this summer. This summer was our biggest jamboree of projects where we were touching the high school and the middle school, which of course are our largest buildings. Also Breck Elementary, Summit Cove Elementary, and Dillon Valley Elementary. Projects were pretty intense and big for that amount of time, but we are fairly on schedule at this point.
Good. Fairly on schedule. Like hearing that kids won't be going back to holes in walls or anything like that. So we'll start with the high school. So that big project right there, tell us a little bit about what was being done, for those of us who haven't even been inside, but we've been seeing the outside.
It's pretty fabulous. Kara, do you want to talk about the high school?
Sure, I'd love to. So the high school, all schools had the media center and the secure vestibules reworked, and so that happened at all schools across the district. The high school in particular, because we know that we have some growth coming to the high school with some larger class sizes that are in the elementary schools right now. We are adding additional classroom space to the high school, so we added 16 classrooms to the high school and another gymnasium. So all of that will be ready to go for students as we see these growing numbers coming in the next few years.
The other thing at the high school that's really amazing is the cafeteria space. We know with more students, they need more room. It's beautiful. I mean, people just won't believe it when they walk in. Also, the commons area, which is what you'll see when you first walk into the building, is really a 21st century learning space as well as like the hallway. So you'll see kids hanging out there. We're trying to go for really more of that college feel, add some responsibility and some, young adulthood for our students. And then the media center has huge garage doors that open up into that space. There's a beautiful fireplace. I can't wait for people to come in and see it. It's beautiful. Yeah,
and I'm trying to think, I used to work at the newspaper and would cover sports, so I was going in and out of that front area often. I've got to make my way over there and check it out.
Yes.
Very
we'll be
cool.
having ribbon cuttings at the end of September, early October, so we'll make sure we get information out to everybody for all of our schools. It's a fun little celebration, so we'd love the public to come out.
Very cool. Yeah, great stuff happening over at the high school. And like you said, that was definitely by far one of the biggest projects. What was the dollar amount on that project, at least the stuff that was done this particular summer?
Well, all the projects for the high school were about $29 million in total. So that's all the additional classroom space, extra gymnasium, media center, and vestibules. In addition, the one thing Kerri didn't mention was we're also doing some site work around the building to improve our bus lanes and our student parking. So that's going to be really exciting and help out that school as well.
Great. And like you said, a lot of that was predicting or, looking forward to the fact that Summit School District as a whole is growing. You're going to be having more students at that high school. What is the projection, from maybe from last school year to the future growth, next 5-10 years? What are you guys looking at?
Well, we know that the county has been growing about 2% a year. And so when we applied that 2% growth per year to our current population, we were going to be at capacity at the high school within a year or two. You might remember that this all started when we did our master plan, which started in 2015. We started really evaluating our buildings across the district, and we looked really closely at our projected enrollment. And so we know that our kids that are in our school buildings right now at the elementary level are bigger class sizes. So as those classes move up to the high school level, our high school would have been over capacity. So we added quite a bit of additional space to hopefully put us in a good spot for the next 10 years or so is our grand plan right now.
Great, yeah, looking ahead to those next 10 years about. When it comes to space at the high school, say 16 classrooms, what's the size of one classroom? How many students does a single classroom fit for the most part?
Well, it really varies. It depends on the type of class. You might see a smaller number of students in a more hands-on kind of environment. Some of our CTE classes are a little bit smaller, although some of them are actually larger than our regular classes. So anywhere from, it could be 15 to 30 is probably the range of students in a classroom. But our classrooms are starting to look different. It's starting to be where teachers are really innovating, and kids are really, designing more of their own thinking, their own learning, that problem-based learning, really looking at things from a different lens. And these environments are going to actually add to that.
Kind of bringing the school environment into the 21st century almost.
That's correct.
Fully into the 21st
Yes.
century. Because I'm sure you guys have done plenty of stuff over the years. I mean, I've noticed, just from the time that I was going to school that, blackboards are being replaced by whiteboards, being replaced by TVs, being replaced by laptops, and all that connectivity that kids have these days. And this is just really kind of another piece of that, right? Just
Right.
continuing along with that same
And I'm
vein.
glad you mentioned that, actually, the technology piece, because, in addition to the bond dollars that our wonderful taxpayers voted for, we also have an ongoing mill levy, which is supporting our capital construction, maintenance kind of fund. And then we also have ongoing funds that promote and support our one-to-one technology. And that replaces then technology for the students as well as for the teachers, because we know that teachers also need that infrastructure to be, moving along. They have to learn, really along and ahead of kids.
Yeah, exactly. And especially when there's new technology or new equipment being used, teachers got to learn it first.
Yes.
Before the kids can even, be involved with it. Now, looking at the middle school, what was done at the middle school?
So again, at the middle school, we did the media center and redid the secure vestibule. In addition, we've got those bigger class sizes. They're going to hit the middle school first before they hit the high school. So we needed to add some additional classroom space there. So we added 12 classrooms at the middle school. Also redoing the site at the middle school, so improving site circulation, separating buses out from parent traffic, and increasing some parking.
So we're going to ask parents to be a little bit patient with us as everybody gets used to that new system. I think what we're going to see, though, is that it's going to be a lot safer. Inside the middle school, in addition, I think, we have the Snowy Peaks High School, which is, and actually we're adding 7th and 8th grade to that school this year, is that they have beautiful, amazing, innovative spaces this year as well. So it's really nice. It's a school within a school, but when you're in there, it feels like its own high school and junior high. Really fabulous. The middle school spaces, I think what we'll really feel different to students and to parents, because they have these additional spaces where kids can do breakouts, where there's going to be a lot of coming and going, a lot of cooperative learning. Really exciting.
What is the enrollment for Snowy Peaks? How large is that student population?
So the Snowy Peaks High School, 9th through 12th grade, their enrollment has been around 60 the past few years. This year we are adding the middle school, so 7th and 8th grade as well. So we project their enrollment to be somewhere around 80 this next year.
Great. And like you said, expecting a little patience from parents and everybody else right now. At the middle and the high school, what is left to be done? What kind of work is going to be, finishing up here at the very, very start of the school year?
Right. Well, at the high school, the new gymnasium, the new teaching space, which, by the way, is going to have a turf field, pretty exciting. That is not going to be finished until around
End of September.
End of September, so right into there. There are a few other, obviously, just loose ends that need to be finished up. Some glazing kinds of things. Kara, what else?
A little bit of painting, some baseboards, some of the finishing touches will need to be completed once we get into the school year. In addition, we may be finishing up some of the outside work, so some of the landscaping may be coming in a couple weeks into school. But we're going to have the schools ready to open and ready for students in just a couple of days.
So one thing to mention maybe is today at noon, we are actually going to sit down with our entire facilities committee and our contractors and make sure that that is the case. If there should be any reason that we need to delay, and really the only reason we would need to delay is if there is a safety issue, a security issue, that we don't feel it's safe for students to be in buildings, we would obviously want to let parents know right away. But our plan is to start on time and be ready to roll.
Great. Always nice to hear. Maybe not if you're a student thinking like, I wish I could have gotten another extra couple days of vacation. But it's nice to be able to, like as a student, I remember coming into, they upgraded my elementary school and it was so cool. It felt like a new school that I was walking into, even though, the main door was still the same and the cafeteria was still the same. Just that extra wing felt so new and different from everything. And at least it's not like, I remember when I was at college at CSU, construction never ended on like the student center. So at least this construction is ending. There is an end in sight. And like you said, by end of September, early October, should have a ribbon cutting for all these new improvements.
Yes, it's going to be so much fun.
Yes, very cool. Now the elementary schools, what were we looking at? We'll move kind of down valley, so start in Breckenridge and go down. What was being done at Breck, and what can students expect?
So all of the elementary schools, we redid the Media Center, which part of that remodel was to add maker spaces in these schools. So maker spaces are labs that are set up for real project-based learning, where kids can really get in and build and experiment and put together projects. And so that's really exciting in all of our elementary schools. We did 3 schools last year, and those schools have been using those spaces all year long. Teachers come in and out throughout the day. And so we're really excited to add those spaces to improve our learning for kids. We're also redoing the vestibules. So, school security is always changing. Best practices are always changing. So we're just updating our vestibules to make sure that we are have them set up with the best security that we can offer at schools this time.
Great. What does that look like? What does a new improved vestibule look like?
Mm-hmm. So what we know about school safety is that what we can control best is who's in our buildings. So every day, obviously, we welcome our students and our faculty and all of those. But once school starts, those doors are locked. And we make sure that all our perimeter doors are locked as well as the front door. And then we have a nice new, and with Breck Elementary especially, it was hard. The visibility was difficult in the old configuration. Now that person in the office can see a person entering, not only entering, but coming up to the front doors. They go through the first set of doors, they buzz, and honestly, if they don't need to enter the building, if they're just dropping off lunch or a coat for their student, or they're picking up their student, they wait in these vestibules, and the vestibules have been designed to be welcoming, comfortable places. We got new furniture, there'll be a screen that with some school information, and basically that's the way that we'll make sure that our schools are as safe as they can be, is that we get to control who's in our buildings.
Great. And I remember when I was I was just down in Denver not long ago, and it seems like they've been doing the same thing at a lot of office buildings down there too. And yeah, just having the buzz in, you gotta wait for somebody to unlock the door for you. So it's not just if you want to walk in, you can walk in.
Right.
And that's being done at every last school now has upgraded vestibules?
Yes, they do. And we were lucky enough years ago to actually put secure vestibules vestibules in all of our schools. However, what we've done now is really just upgrade and also make them more welcoming. They're bigger, but also the line of sight is better, and also we just can control things a little bit. Maybe it's a little bit tighter.
Gotcha. Great. And like you said, it's also nice because there's some places to sit and stuff that doesn't make it seem like a holding pen as much as it might have at one point. Great. Now, at the other elementary schools, what else sort of work was being done along with vestibule work and all of that?
There's a little bit of site work at the buildings across the district, especially Summit Cove. We partnered with the county last year on a Safe Routes to School grant, and we're able to redo the traffic lane that's directly in front of the school. And so one of the things that we are doing with these projects is just tying that into the school sidewalks so that there's a little bit more of a connection between that work that was done with the Safe Routes to Schools grant and our existing building. In addition, Dillon Valley is, one of our largest schools. That's where we have our dual language program, and so we have a lot of families that choose to attend that school. And so it is one of the schools that is at higher capacity. Okay. What we were able to do at Dillon Valley was to actually add on a cafeteria. They were one of the schools that was built at a time when the gym and the cafeteria was a shared space. So we had to set up the cafeteria every day for lunch and take it down so that they could have gym classes in it, our physical education classes in it in the afternoon. So we are adding a separate cafeteria space to that school. That is one of the projects that will extend into the fall before it's completely finished. It was a much larger project and just actually adding an addition to that building. And so it won't be quite ready when school's back in session. We'll continue sharing the gym for the first few weeks of school and then move into that cafeteria space when it's ready to go.
Great, but there is a brand new cafeteria on the way.
Yes. In addition, at Dillon Valley, we know that parking is a premium there, and we were able to acquire a lot next door, the old firehouse, which lots of people had some memories about, and we were able to we're in the process of converting that into a parking lot, so there'll be some more accessibility for parents. Right now, we're also working on getting some of the site repaved so that on the first day of school, parents can drive in and drop their kids off.
Great. Lots of stuff happening all across the district. Anything else that wasn't, a capital project or a piece of construction that might have changed over the summer as well that kids and parents can look forward to?
Gosh, well, there's always things that are happening over the summer or things that we're focusing on. At the school district, one of the things that we did this last week was work with staff for an entire day. We had almost 500 staff members over at Keystone at the conference center. And what we hear a lot from teachers and what we know is happening in the world is that the social and emotional well-being of our students, of our families, of our staff is one of the hardest and most critical factors in making sure that we can educate kids. And so we spent a complete day on Friday working with staff around that social emotional piece. Got lots of good feedback. People were really they appreciated the fact that we were listening and finding some things to meet their needs, but also taking away some nuggets to work with their kids.
Great, some good, like you said, off-season training, kind of getting everybody ready, and along with that, I know that your teachers are also enjoying a pay raise this year, one of the first in a while, and that's fantastic news for any teacher, especially because cost of living just doesn't seem like it's going to get any easier or better for anybody living in Summit County.
That is definitely true, and we are really happy that we have such a supportive school board and leadership of the district. We know that one of the best things we can do to support our students and our staff serving those students is to keep honoring and valuing our teachers, and we were able to do that this year with some additional funding that came to us from the state.
And one thing in our district, in addition to that, is that, we do talk about teachers and this pay raise, but it is something that's applied to all of our staff, which is very helpful because we know that, all of our support staff positions are very important. We need to make sure that we have these great folks that are driving our buses and cleaning our schools and making school lunch and manning those front offices and working with kids in classrooms. And I would say up here, our workforce is exceptional. And being able to value that means a lot.
Absolutely. Like you said, the teachers are important, but they're just one piece of the puzzle at a school,
Yes.
at any school. Great. Anything else you guys can think of that happened off season or that people can look forward to maybe even coming up this year? I know that you said we're still finishing up on some construction projects. Anything else that's coming up, for this school year in particular?
Well, I think what parents are going to maybe feel a little bit and hopefully hear about from their kids is that learning will start to sound and feel and look a little bit different. The other thing is that we're always focusing on is how do we get more of our parents and our community into our schools partnering with us. Engagement is really important, and engagement looks different. It can be those conversations you have at home. It can be those community events that everybody attends. And it can be parent conferences. So how do we wrap all of those things together just to strengthen this community in general? But then, if we have a strong community, we have strong schools. If we have strong schools, we have a strong community.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Well, Kerri and Kara, thank you again for coming in to talk a little bit about capital projects across the school district and all the exciting stuff that students can look forward to when classes get started this week.
We're just thrilled to be here. Thanks so much for the airtime.
Yes,
Thanks
for having us.
Absolutely. Thrilled to have you guys and thrilled to have another school season starting just around the corner. Phil Lindemann on Krystal 93.